Did Lamar Jackson just send the NFL a message from his Instagram account ahead of the playoffs? That was my impression, but if not, he's been sending messages really all season. And he sent a few more during his pressers. He sent some during Wired. He's just sending messages all over the place. We'll get into that. We'll talk about pressers. Ardarius Washington spoke, talking about his surging year and that little interaction he had with Zack Orr, where Zack Orr hit the deck after jumping on him. Mina Kimes, she on her podcast revealed her MVP vote, obviously stopping short saying, hey, this last week I'm going to consider that too, but she has revealed her vote, and I'm going to get into that and all of her thinking behind it. Excuse me, Joe Burrow made a case against himself in the MVP race. And then finally, for you Harbaugh haters, you might want to put on earmuffs. We're going to get into why he deserves praise instead of ire from the fan base so far this season. I am Sarah Ellison. Welcome inside the vault. And as you can see, I'm Sarah solo for the second day in a row. And that is because Bobby Trossett, as you know, he was on a date last night for New Year's. And I've been authorized to tell you that that date has extended into 2025. Bobby will be back tomorrow to give whatever information he would like to give about that. He's been open about his dating past in the life. That is not my story to tell. But that is, I think he's driving home now to his hometown in New York, where he's staying with his mom and family for the holidays. So we wish Bobby the best. I wish you the best. I'm excited for this day. And I have to mention, of course, that today's episode, as you all have may have already seen here, is brought to you by our friends at Homage. So today is Giveaway Wednesday. What a way to head into 2025. Maybe you can be the winner today for a free Homage Ravens t-shirt. So rules, as you know, are to win this t-shirt, send a super chat with the hashtag Vault. And I promise you this time there is no technology misfire on my end. We've definitely got this going. It's already collecting those that have put in super chats with the hashtag Vault. Make sure you like this video, you're subscribed, and also click on the link that is pinned in the comments and in the chat. Make sure you're checking out all the stuff from Homage that you can get. So we appreciate our friends at Homage for supporting us and supporting this specific episode. Maybe you will be the one to get that Homage t-shirt. So let's begin, shall we? Let's begin. Lamar Jackson. He is on a tear right now, as we all know. And he's just locked in. He's locked in. He's playing extremely well. He's obviously one of the front runners. There's about 2 front runners right now in the MVP. And he's not hearing any of that noise. He's not listening to MVP chatter, which is what I have been doing for the majority of my life for the last 2 weeks. So he's blocking me out. He's blocking the national airwaves out. He's blocking Twitter out. He's blocking it all out. And then last night, when we're moving from the 2024 calendar year into the 2025 calendar year, what do you know? Lamar Jackson posting his stories, just a simple photo that I have there in the middle. And it's Walt. We all know Walt from Breaking Bad. And it's got kind of, for the audio listeners, it's kind of got that camera look. Almost if you have a ring camera at your door. And it's Walt there looking like he's about to knock. It looks like he's got, a cigar in his mouth, and he's looking in there, looking up, looking a little scary. I would not want to see that on, if your doorbell rings, that is not the image you want to see on your Ring cameras. Okay, so everybody felt like they knew what that meant. What's the famous quote that has to do with Walt being at a doorstep? It's, I am the one who knocks. Those who do not know the Breaking Bad series and know that show, let me tell you, I've got your back. Here is the audio behind the famous line of Walt talking to his wife. Okay, so for those that don't know, Walter, He is a science teacher at a high school, chemistry teacher, and life is just passing him by. He's unhappy, and then he's diagnosed with cancer. So he decides he's going to start making meth with one of his former students. Anyway, you can imagine the stuff that ensues, and he starts as kind of like this weakling and starts to get stronger and stronger as the episode goes on. It almost goes too far. He's got an ego later at the end, but somebody, his wife finds out that somebody has been shot. What she doesn't know is that Walter kind of orchestrated the whole thing. She's very concerned about this person that's been shot in their doorway. And this is kind of the scene, how the scene sounds when it all goes down.
Walt, please. Let's both of us stop trying to justify this whole thing and admit you're in danger.
Who are you talking to right now? Who is it you think you see? Do you know how much I make a year? I mean, even if I told you, you wouldn't believe it. Do you know what would happen if I suddenly decided to stop going into work? A business big enough that it could be listed on the NASDAQ goes belly up. Disappears. It ceases to exist without me. No, you clearly don't know who you're talking to, so let me clue you in. I am not in danger, Skylar. I am the danger. A guy opens his door and gets shot, and you think that of me? No. I am the one who knocks.
Okay. You think that we're in danger? He's telling his wife, no. I'm the danger. That is the attitude it appears that Lamar Jackson is heading into 2025 with. He's heading into week 18 with. He will be heading into the playoffs with. He is not in danger, as many will try to say. Everybody will try to point to his playoff record, even though he's made it to the AFC Championship game. People will talk about what the Chiefs have done to him. Is Lamar Jackson in danger? We're about to hit the playoffs. Oh, what's the big knock on Lamar? Is that he doesn't have a great playoff record. You think he's in danger as we're about to head into this playoff gauntlet, whatever it becomes. No, Lamar's not in danger. Lamar is the danger. Lamar is not answering the door. Lamar is the one that is knocking at the door. That is how I took it. Of course, Lamar is always... he admits that he likes to have fun on Instagram, social media, all that kind of stuff. That certainly was the message that I took from it. Could it have been that randomly at the eve of 2025 that Lamar was just watching Breaking Bad and he felt like putting that up? Maybe. But I doubt it. I think that he was sending a message similar to the one that he sent, again, unintentionally, after Marlon Humphrey had that pick six. And everybody on the sideline, we talked about this yesterday, everybody on the sideline is erupting with cheers and excitement. The entire M&T Bank Stadium is erupting in pandemonium. Okay? Not Lamar, because he had a pick the play before. And he's ticked off. He was locked in. And you know what? He was locked in at pressers yesterday too. What's crazy is, well, it's not crazy, but the media, the local media for all 32 teams, they vote on awards for players of that year. Tyler Linderbaum, by the way, was voted the media good guy of the year. And then Lamar Jackson, to nobody's surprise, was voted the team MVP. So he went up and he accepted his award. He was asked about the record he could get with the best single season passer rating ever. He was asked about his new record, rushing record, where he beat Michael Vick. And when I tell you he's just low key on all of them, this won't surprise you at all.
Jackson was voted by the local media as the Ravens team MVP.
Thank you, guys. That means a lot. My home team, well, this is my second home right here, so home team, media, man, I owe it to my teammates and you guys. I appreciate y'all a lot.
You made my home team. This is my second home. I would say that it's probably his third home. You got Florida, you got Louisville, and you've got Baltimore now. But Okay, so he accepts the award. He's gotten it just about every year from the media. I think he's won it every year except for when he was injured. And then obviously in 2018, I don't think he won it. But he's won it just about any year. And he's like, all right, thank you. Kind of like on to the next.
I know you don't care about stats, but would it be meaningful for you to finish with the best single season quarterback rating ever?
If I'm on my childhood, in my childhood mindset and breaking the record, yeah. But I'm trying to win the games, so it really don't matter. If it happens, it happens. If it don't, it probably will happen sometime down the line.
How long do you think your record, you'll still be adding to that rushing total, do you think your record will ever be broken?
Yeah, I believe so. If it do, hats off to whoever do it, because records are meant to be broken. It's nothing to be mad about, It's just another guy, or another one-of-one type of generational talented guy, I believe, if it happens.
Does still the whatever the...
Oh, yeah, so there's one more after this real quick. So obviously, all of these records, all these things that are at his fingertips. He said in there, he's like, is it a big deal if I had my childhood mindset? And I would add, once he puts on his retirement mindset, it's going to be very meaningful. But when you're asking him on New Year's Eve on a Tuesday ahead of a Week 18 game and then getting ready for the playoffs, no, that is not what he's thinking about. That's a time to dream about when you're young, and then it'll be a time to reminisce about when you're retired or maybe in the offseason. But right now, no. He's sending a message with how he answers every single one of these. He's locked in, absolutely locked in. Now, what does he like? He doesn't want to talk about awards. He doesn't want to talk about records. But what about the haters and the doubters that, there's still some out there? What does that mean to him?
You want to call them the doubters, the haters, whatever. Does that still motivate you in year 7?
Yeah, because, it's really nothing to talk about for real. Just let us play football. But it is what it is. It's gonna always be that. When you playing sports, it's gonna always be talk of how good a player is, how bad a player is. He should be this, he should be that. It's gonna always be that type of talk. So it is what it is. But just keep it up for me. It helps.
Okay, you heard him. He likes to be doubted. He likes to hear the criticism. He likes to hear the doubt. Okay. Let's keep sending it to him. He says it motivates him. He likes it. It's not surprising. A lot of people feel the same way. Here he is. Lamar Jackson team MVP is voted on by the local media. Tyler Linderbaum, media good guy. I don't know if Marlon Humphrey had a vote. I don't know that he would vote Tyler Linderbaum because he sure did give him the cold shoulder, the very cold shoulder on IG Live on the way home from the Christmas game against the Texans. But he allows the reporters to do their job. That is for sure. Now, one last thing from Lamar's presser, and then I want to get to a couple of things from Ardarius Washington, then we'll wrap up kind of the pressers and what went on there. Lamar Jackson was asked about his touchdown pass to Isaiah Likely. You all know the one. I cannot play it for copyright purposes, but it's he extends out. He gets pushed out to his right hand side. He's trying to find somebody to throw to, and we all know the image. He eventually, after he just toys with Will Anderson, one of the best pass rushers in the league, we remember the image where Lamar throws it, and before Isaiah Likely even catches it, he's got his 3-point hand and is running backwards and isn't even watching. He knows that was a swish. He knows he nailed the shot. He knows he did. So he was asked about that and what he saw, and he gave all the details. This is what he is seeing. Matrix Lamar, Neo Lamar, this is what he's seeing on the field.
Texans defenders weren't sure if they should go after you or stay back in coverage. You were just kind of toying with them like a cat with a mouse. Do you see, in their eyes, you can read off the eyes, or is it just complete feel of the entire field?
Pretty much a feel for the game. 55, I believe Hughes. I want to get his name wrong. I believe Hughes, but he was I believe he was doing the job, just trying to cut me off and stuff like that from turning up. I remember Mark going out of bounds. Zay Flowers going out of bounds, and Likely was just doing what we work all the time, scramble drill. He was 2 defenders on him, a corner and a linebacker, I believe. And I'm just trying to get space away from 55 because he was like a tall guy. And I believe if he would have just pulled me, he probably would have sacked me or something like that. So I was just trying to stay far away from him as I could, but try to keep enough balance to get the throw off. And that's just all it was.
I love how clearly the entire play is tattooed on his brain. He just broke the whole thing down. He knows where all the defenders were. He knows that Mark Andrews had stepped out. He knows that Zay Flowers had stepped out. And so he's just trying to keep it alive with that Isaiah Likely with the remaining receivers that he's got. So he explains it to a T. Everybody where they're at. And he just downplays it all. He's like, that's just all it was. Oh, okay. Just one of those MVP moments. That's all it was. I want to see another moment where Lamar is locked in. How about on Wired? Somebody sent this to me because I missed it the first time around. The situation against I believe, it was the Steelers. All these games so close together, we're starting to forget the situations. But remember, in the fourth quarter, with 3 minutes and 14 seconds left, Ravens have a lead, but it'd be nice to get another touchdown. Derrick Henry runs the ball on 3rd down for 1 yard to the Pittsburgh 7. Okay, they're in the Pittsburgh 7. Now it's 4th and 1. You got Derrick Henry. You got Lamar Jackson. Pretty near impossible duo to stop. And so the question is, do you kick a field goal or do you go for the touchdown? So John Harbaugh, Pittsburgh took a timeout. John Harbaugh decides to talk it over with Lamar. Why wouldn't he? Let's think back. Remember, this goes all the way back to that Seattle game when Marshall Yonda was still on the team in 2019. And they're in the red zone. They're a yard short. And from a motivational perspective, John Harbaugh comes up to Lamar Jackson to get buy-in. John Harbaugh knows what he wants to do. He knows what he wants to do. But he yells over there. He goes, hey, Lamar, do you want to go for it? And then Lamar looks over at Marshall Yonda. He's like, y'all boys want to go for it? And then Yonda has that jokerish, demonic laugh. And he's like, oh yeah, we want to go for it. So a similar thing this time, but it's the opposite. Instead of Lamar and Yonda saying we want to go for it, Lamar knows the game situation. He knows what can happen. So during the timeout, John goes to Lamar, and here's what Lamar had to say.
Kick it. Kick it. Kick it. Bro, hey, I'm trying to win. I ain't on that.
Jordan Stout with a hold. Tucker's kick is up. It is good. And with 3:10 left to play, the Hayes Lamar.
I ain't worried about you getting 1 yard, but I'm just thinking about us getting that 1 yard instead of kicking that 3. Game already over. Feel me? That's why. Other than that, we.
Did you guys see? Let me mute this. Derrick Henry's face at first. So obviously, John's talking to Lamar. Lamar's like, kick it. Because he knows the game situation. He's not worried about padding his stats. He's not worried about the MVP race. None of that. Doesn't care about that. He just says, kick it and let's seal this win. Let's get it done. It's over. We get the 3 points here. It's over. There's no reason to risk it, even though there's a pretty good chance that, they could have converted. So as you can see here, Derrick Henry on the sideline later is like, I could have gotten that 1 yard. I don't doubt you, future Hall of Famer. I don't doubt you one bit. And I don't think Lamar doubts you one bit. Then Lamar says back to him, I'm not worried about you getting that 1 yard. Look at Henry's face. Henry is like, huh? And then Lamar finishes his explanation like, I just want to get the win. I'm not worried about your yard. He's not worried about Derrick Henry's yard. He's not worried about his own MVP stats. He just wants to seal the win. There are only a few different quarterbacks who can explain that. And then look at Henry here. He's like, all right, here, high five. I got you. Lamar says, you feel me? Yeah, I feel you. So he gets the win. And by the way, probably continues to help build his kicker's confidence, which is going to absolutely need to be intact. The confidence level of Justin Tucker needs to be intact once those playoffs come around. You know that you're the leader of a locker room when Derrick Henry wants the ball and he's like, okay, I got you. I got you. Lamar Jackson is the unquestioned leader of the Baltimore Ravens. One other thing from Wired that I kind of want to fit in here that isn't on the Lamar topic that we're having here about him being locked in. But there was one part inside the team meeting room where John Harbaugh hands kind of like metaphorically the mic over to Justin Tucker. This is right before Christmas. And Justin Tucker leads the cause on this.
Something, Justin, right? You want to make an announcement, Tuck?
Yes.
About the Christmas stuff.
Yeah, thanks, Coach. All right, so I'm going to leave these sheets in everybody's locker this time of the year, kind of coming into Christmas. Opportunity for us to, kind of give a little bit of a bonus to all of the support staff that help us out, whether it's cafeteria, custodial staff, firemen, equipment, training room, whatever it may be. So I encourage everybody to be as generous as possible. At the end of the Christmas season, all those folks that just get like a little boost from us, it's really, really meaningful. So I'm gonna leave these in your lockers. Everybody that benefits from it will have a chance to go spend some money for Christmas, however they may see fit. So thank you.
Thanks, Tuck.
Yeah, I really like that. Maybe it's just because I've seen all the behind the scenes, the army that is behind the scenes. Obviously, everybody on the outside, fans and everybody else, just sees the players and the coaching staff and some of the front office. But when he talked about the equipment room, the firemen, if you don't know who they are, they're part-time firemen that when they're off fighting fires, they come to the Ravens and they're guys that like will literally do anything. Like they're like those guys that like, we need you to hold the first down marker during practice. Okay, got you. The equipment staff needs help. Okay, I got you. Can you send these FedEx packages here? Okay, I got you. I mean, they literally are doing anything and everything. I mean, there's so much staff behind the scenes. Made me happy to hear Justin Tucker taking the lead and saying, hey guys, we're going to do a little collection, give them a little Christmas bonus. And it brings me back to my days when I did a paper route. I had a paper route in the old days when we all read the papers. I started it in 6th grade. Went up the hills and the mountains in Colorado, riding my bike, delivering these papers. And let me tell you, when they delivered the bonus at Christmas time, I thought I was the luckiest girl in the world. I remember those days of the paper route. Always appreciate a little tip, especially around Christmas time. So good on Tuck and the Ravens players for doing that. Why don't we get into some super chats? We'll come back to Ardarius Washington and then Mina Kimes and her MVP vote. But it's been a minute since I haven't even been able to get to any of these super chats yet. Let me quickly put this up to remind you that the episode's brought to you by Homage. And if you have a super chat with the hashtag Vault, you will be entered to win a free t-shirt from Homage. Bosif says, Happy New Year, hashtag Vault. Same to you. Asmodeus. On a scale from 1 to 10, how hungover are you, Bobby? LOL, hashtag Vault. I know Bobby said he was going to listen. I know he was driving back, so I don't know if he's in the chat, but I know he said he would be listening. So these are questions that are going to have to be answered by Bobby, but that will have to happen tomorrow. But I can tell you he's driving and he's fine, so he's not hungover. Eric Murphy, Happy New Year, Bobby and Sarah, as well as the rest of the flock, hashtag Vault. Asmodeus, he's still going. For your hangover, KFC, Korean fried chicken needs, hashtag Vault. CE, blessings flock, hashtag Vault. Steven says, MP3 is alive and well. Happy New Year's flock, hashtag Vault. Lauren Wunderlich, today's super chats should go towards Bobby's recovery. You guys are killing me. IV hydration and crazy selection of food on DoorDash. Happy New Year, Vault crew. Hashtag Vault. I can't right now. Joy Walker. Thank you, Joy. faith, family, football in that order. Happy New Year, Vault fam, hashtag Vault. Just win, baby. Captain Hard, hashtag Vault. Here we go, Osmodeus again. I need a gig where a date gets me out of work, hashtag Vault. Listen, Bobby and I have each other's back. Come on now. You guys know that. Juicebox 2025 playoff mode. LJ interception. Face straight locked in. Hashtag Vault. It's so true. It's so true. Robbie Pate says Lamar is locked in. Hashtag Vault. With the orange super chat, David Scott. I have a friend who is a cocky Steelers fan. Do we not all have those? Do we all not have friends who are cocky Steelers fans? I do. David goes on to say, the Ravens need to win, so he knows who the real kings of the North are. Hashtag Vault. Sean Turner, Zack Orr will be the Baltimore Raven. Darlene, thank you for your super chat. Shelby, Happy New Year, Sarah and the flock. So excited for our Festivus season. Lamar giving us intense, hungry. He is hungry. Not hungry, hungry. Let's go. Hashtag Vault. TJ, who else would you love to debate about Lamar? I mean, all MVP voters that aren't sure that they want to vote for him yet. I would debate all of them. Ravens for life. Saquon has a much higher usage rating than Henry. Indeed, he does. If they were equal, Henry's stats would put belt to arse to Saquon's. Hashtag Vault. Look at you guys speaking my language here. Jermaine says hashtag. I can't even say this with a straight face. Bobby Boulovin. Hashtag Vault. Q-Dog, love the t-shirt, hashtag Vault. I'm going to explain to you how you can get one even if you aren't a winner for today in just a minute. Darlene, Happy New Year, flock. Let's go Ravens, hashtag Vault. Thank you, Darlene, for your second one. Abraham, Lamar is locked in, hashtag Vault. Indeed. David says, glad you're still here with us, Sarah, hashtag Vault. I got you. Don J, MP3, hashtag Vault. 12K Tay, LJ, switch into that number 1 jersey next year. If you know, you know. Hashtag Vault. That's true. In this case, usually when people put if you know, you know, I don't know. But in this case, I actually do know. Ravens for life. Happy New Year to the Vault. And shouts out to Bobby for the time and energy he spent this summer painting Mama Trossett's house. So true. I've seen pictures of that. Dre Dog. Let's take a second and give the most high praise for another year. Another chance to be great. Another chance to be legendary. Hashtag Vault. Amen, Dre Dog. This morning, I also woke up with a hunger. I'm a big, not necessarily New Year's resolutions, but I do like to check in on goals. Don't get me off on a tangent. Maybe I'll do this at the end. Maybe we'll talk about goals and what they mean and why people are afraid of them. I'll do that at the end. We got to get to more content, but I got to come back to this. Okay. Monica, Happy New Year, Sarah, hashtag Vault. Same to you, Monica. Antoine Hoskins, Happy New Year, hashtag Vault. B1 and only, hashtag Vault. Nobody rides for LJ like Sarah E. and John H. Olu says Henry has been stopped on 4th and 1 before. Come on. He has, but I still would bet on him. I would still bet that he makes it than doesn't in big situations. OG Pearled, whoa, dummy. Happy New Year, flock. Heart emoji, ring season. Got to put in hashtag Vault. There, he did it here. There we go. He got it. He got himself there. E-Man Watts, Happy New Year, hashtag Vault. Sod Blitz, Marlowe 44, greater than PS2, hashtag Vault. Pat Sertain. Chris, prosperous New Year, flock, hashtag Vault. And then finally, Deshaun Davis, hashtag Vault. I missed most of the show. Well, what you don't know, Deshaun, is that I came in extraordinarily late. What was it? Was I 20, 25 minutes late? So you probably haven't missed that much. I'll just say there was more on my plate than I had anticipated. I probably should have anticipated it, but I didn't. But listen, it is what it is. It is what it is. Okay. Speaking of Homage, you guys, it's playoff time. And you should be gearing up with new Ravens gear, which is why you need to go over to the Homage website and check out all of their stuff. Hold on, let me get over to, you can easily go to, let's see here. What happened to my teams here? Let's see, let's go to fan shop, click on Baltimore Ravens, easy peasy lemon squeezy. And then you can start looking at all the Ravens gear here that you could purchase as we start up. Now, what's nice is Homage gave me and Bobby a special code. Okay, so if you buy something and you use the code VAULT20, it will provide you a 20% discount off your total order value. There are some exclusions that apply, but there's no minimum purchase requirement. And obviously there's a limit to one use per customer. So this is active, this VAULT20 code with 20% off on your total value of your purchase. It's active through 2/9/25. Let's hope that continues through that, because they're staying with us until the Ravens are either kicked out of the playoffs or never get kicked out and go all the way to the playoffs. There are other sales promotions that they got going on. Today, they're giving 25% off fleece sales. Some exclusions apply. And then on Friday, which is my husband's birthday, through Sunday, they're running a BOGO sale with 30% off. Some exclusions apply. All right. But we sure want you to check this stuff out. They got tons of Ravens hoodies. You got the Derrick Henry Angry Runs, which I have worn on the show before. Crew neck t-shirt, a very popular one. Both Bobby and I have, and I've got one for my son. Man, I've got a ton of these things. I love the joggers. This is what I got. I got this jogger. I also have this purple NFL Jam. And then I got the purple matching Ravens hoodie right there in the middle, the classic logo. Oh, yeah. Oh, I wear that when I'm really trying to annoy people here in AFC North territory. And obviously, as you can see, one of these new shirts that they got, I am currently sporting. There, let me get myself a little bit bigger here so you can see it. This is one of their new ones. Okay. The Gradient Ravens font, and then the new alternate helmet. So, as I said, head on over, click on the link. We have it in the pinned comments. It's all in the pinned comments. I believe it's also in the chat. So check out all the t-shirts or you can win one today by putting in a super chat. Make sure you got a hashtag Vault, like the channel, or subscribe to the channel, like the video, and click on the link to go check out what they got, and that will enter you into the free Homage t-shirt giveaway. All right, let's get back to the content here. Make sure I get this off before I bring it back up. Okay, back to just a couple more things from pressers that I wanted to get to before we move on to Mina Kimes and her MVP vote that she has revealed. Ardarius Washington. We got so much love for this guy right now, as he has been one of the many saviors of turning this defense around. One of the iconic moments that happened last week was after he stopped Joe Mixon from a touchdown. Was that Joe Mixon? Yeah, because he's on the Texans now. I almost was like, wait a minute, we didn't play the Bengals. I've forgotten that Mixon has moved on to the Texans, but he stops Joe Mixon just dead in the tracks. Makes bends Joe Mixon's body in half. Joe Mixon's so much bigger than Ardarius Washington. And as we remember, defensive coordinator Zack Orr, who is just a ball of fire, runs over there, jumps on Ardarius Washington, but immediately falls off. What was Ardarius Washington's reaction to that moment?
After your fourth down stop on Joe Mixon, Zack Orr seen flying over top of you to the ground in celebration. Did you even notice that was happening?
Nah, no, sir. I didn't even know he did that. Like, we both kind of blacked out. Like, when I talked to him about it, he blacked out, I blacked out. So, like, I got to my phone. Like, a reporter asked me after the game, did you see Zach or anything? I was like, nah, I didn't even see him. So I got back to my phone, And I checked. I said, "Oh, this is what she was talking about." But at first, I didn't know. I didn't even see it.
Everybody blacked out. He didn't even. That's hilarious to me. That's partially probably why Zack Orr fell. Is Ardarius wasn't there to like grab him and hug him and do whatever else, make sure your coach doesn't fall. But then also he was asked, to kind of reflect on where he is now as a starter and where it all began with the NFL, which was not beginning as he was not drafted. And he talked about kind of that journey.
Barlow Humphrey last week said you might have had the hardest job of all because every summer it seems you're fighting for a job on the team. If we could go back to the draft process, what do you remember of that, of not being drafted and of joining this team?
I mean, oh man, not being drafted, it kind of just sent me in a dark place. You know what I mean? So then, like, when I got here, like, all I wanted to do is prove myself and go out there and play football. So, like, I was kind of down for, like, about 2 months or so, I'll say. But then when I got here, I just wanted to play ball and prove myself and go out there and, ultimately become a starter as I am now. But some injuries came along that way and kind of, like, stumbled that. But now I'm here.
It really is crazy to think about how far he's come. I mean, he said he's like, I was down for a little bit. Probably about 2 months. And I'm like, dang, that's not a little bit. 2 months he's feeling down. But then he gets the call from the Ravens. Then he has to deal with all those injuries. Because Ardarius Washington, he always flashed. And then these injuries would come around. So to see him be healthy and be, realizing his potential has to be so satisfying for him. And here's that. Here's the picture of Zack Orr. How in the world does Ardarius Washington not even know that this happened? Zack, who could still be playing right now, I believe he's younger than some of the guys on the defense. And so he's still got, look at him. He could have hurdled him. I mean, he jumps up on AD and is on top of his shoulder, his hand and arm hitting his helmet, and Ardarius Washington didn't even know it happened. I don't even know what we're going to see. I'm with you. I just saw Tanya say, I want to see Zack Orr's reaction to this. I do too. It's been such a short week. Like the media sessions have been shortened. And so it's usually the coordinators that are taken out. But I believe Zack Orr will finally speak, and he might speak today because their game is on Saturday. I don't know. They sent me an email. I can't remember. I'm pretty sure he's going to speak this week. I am going to have that reaction. We've got to have that because Ardarius Washington didn't even know it happened. That's insane. How far he has come. And I'm sure he hasn't even been able to soak it all in yet. Because he's in the middle. It's kind of like what Lamar was saying. That's stuff that you think about when you're a child or when you're, in the off season or when you're totally done. And then injury report real quick. Not looking terrible for the Ravens. Keep knocking on wood. Ravens put out an injury report after yesterday's practice. Nelson Aguilar, full participant after that concussion when he caught that pass from Lamar a couple weeks ago. Rasheen Ali did return. He was limited. Jalen Armour-Davis still out with that hamstring, did not practice. Justice Hill, again, he missed, but John Harbaugh said it was due to illness, not due to the concussion. So he is expected to play on Saturday. Charlie Kolar, full participant. We know that he was designated to return from IR. And then 3 guys, Matabike, McCary, and Stanley, all did not practice, all due to an illness. We know that flu's going around. We know that. And let me tell you something. That flu better make its rounds before wild card ensues and the rest of the playoffs. We do not need the flu running around in that locker room and taking out these starters, okay? We don't need that. So let's be careful about that flu. I'm sure all these guys will be back, but my goodness. I mean, I still remember I have PTSD of the flu game that Michael Jordan had because I was a Jazz fan back in the day. And he beat the Utah Jazz with the flu. And that's commendable, but we don't need that extra. We don't need that extra in the Ravens locker room. Is healthy. Okay. Should we move on to Mina Kimes? Mina Kimes, ESPN analyst. I referenced her tweets quite a bit yesterday. She also went on her own show and expanded upon some of the tweets that she talked about. In those tweets, she demolished so many of the knocks against Lamar Jackson winning this 2024 MVP, getting him his third MVP. She was like, what are we talking about with wide receiver separation? This is dumb. Talks about how noisy that stat is. Like, quarterbacks are supposed to, throw to the open guy, where if, you're not throwing into double or triple coverage, you're making smart choices. Or if you're using play action, which she noted that the Bengals don't do, for example, or if the teams are playing zone, there's like a million things that can go into that. So you can't say, oh, well, wide receiver separation means that Lamar Jackson has the best receivers. And obviously we talk about how Lamar extends plays and the way he directed Likely open. Remember, Likely was in the middle of a sea of Houston Texans. We just talked about this play, and Lamar directed where he should go and threw it where Likely was going to be. Like, it's insane. Yesterday also we talked about, how she said that everybody in terms of supporting cast has one advantage or another, and just one by one was demolishing stuff. So she goes on her show and she has Dominique Foxworth on, and she thought almost the entire show is her saying, Dominique, talk through this with me. I just need to get, I'm the same way. I've got thoughts that are sometimes internally in my mind, but I want to speak them out loud and just hear myself go through it and get some feedback. So they methodically, I highly encourage you to go and watch that show. They methodically go through different categories of where different MVP frontrunners may have an advantage. So the first thing, I pulled 3 clips, and it's an hour-long show, mostly just about the MVP race. So again, go check that out. So she wanted to address supporting cast. And so I pulled a clip on that. And obviously the biggest knock against Lamar that I've heard MVP voters use, including Dan Orlovsky, is that Lamar has Derrick Henry. And Dan Orlovsky isn't the only one. There's plenty of people who have been like, you've got Derrick Henry, who is nearing 1,800 yards, future Hall of Famer, all of that. Nobody here in Baltimore is going to knock Derrick Henry and try to trash him to make Lamar look better. But Mina wasn't totally buying it. Yes, Henry helps. But she used a line that I've used a lot, and then some. Check this out.
Clearly have the best receivers. I think the Bills have the best offensive line. I will say I think the Ravens' offensive line has really improved as the season goes along, and they've gelled as a unit. I would still put the Bills, above them. And then Lamar has obviously the best tight ends and best backs. Are we in agreement about?
Yeah.
So I guess, okay, so just to kind of wrap up the supporting cast aspect of this, I do think Josh Allen has the best case there. Even though I am laughing at this idea that this sudden late argument that like Zay Flowers, Rashad Bateman, and Nelson Aguilar, this powerhouse trio, is ridiculous.
Thank you, by the way. Thank you, Dominique, for the face of what are we even doing here? What are we even doing here? So thank you. Keep going.
I also believe Derrick Henry benefits more from the presence of Lamar than vice versa. That is supported by statistics. Also, when Derrick Henry is not on.
Okay, Mina just said what I've been saying for weeks. That yes, Derrick Henry helps Lamar Jackson, but why is nobody asking why a 30-year-old running back is having career highs in rushing yards per attempt and is having his best rush success rate in his entire career. And 2020, his season was insane. Over 2,000 yards. And yet, this season, being 4 years later, he's having career bests. That is not what running backs do. So Mina is absolutely correct. Yes, Henry helps Lamar, but Lamar helps Henry more than Henry helps Lamar. And check out Dominique on this one. At first, he's like, wait a minute. hold on. And then Mina brings out the facts.
They help each other.
No. I guess I would say that who benefits more from the other is irrelevant. But I mean, I think you're right.
I just
that
mean
Lamar
like this,
helped. Yeah.
Yeah.
Lamar helps Derek more than Derek helps Lamar, but Derek helps Lamar more than any other running back in this race.
Okay, so Dominique concedes that Henry does help Lamar more than Lamar helps Henry. Okay, so at first he has like a face like, what do you mean? And then he's like, okay, yeah, I'll give you that. Henry helps Lamar Lamar helps Henry more than Henry helps Lamar. Then he goes on to say, but the amount that Henry helps Lamar is more than what other MVP candidates have. Now check this out for Mina.
Yeah. Although, can I say, like,
James got a little love for Cook.
I feel like he's kind of getting
James Cook
in this whole the Bengals are the one who really don't have a run game, and that's not because of Chase Brown. That's because of their line and their system. But James Cook, I pulled up rushing DVOA. Derrick Henry is second. James Cook is third among sacks. Rushing yard over expected.
Third by how many percentage points?
It's
Not
close.
much.
Okay. She saw him. She got him around there. First of all, they agreed that the Bills have the better offensive line. Ravens obviously improving. And by the way, Tyler Linderbaum, you know what? Let me just pull this in. Tyler Linderbaum was asked about the offensive line's improvement. Sorry, I'm going to go down a rabbit hole real quick. And listen to what he said.
Very proud. I think, it's a good group, a fun group. And then just, all the things that, we went through in the preseason. Losing Jody certainly hasn't been easy, but I think, he'd be very proud of us, the way we play the game, the way we approach the game. I think something he'd be proud of.
Love that. I don't know, me included. I have accounted for how hard it must have been for the Ravens organization as a whole, but also for the offensive line to lose Coach D in the beginning of the season. I mean, he was back. He was with them, I believe, in minicamp. And this is a guy that's been with the Ravens for years. This is who the offensive line has been working with for years. So of course he's going to bring up, we've improved, and how he thinks Joe D would be proud of what they'd done. I just don't know that I've paid enough attention to that aspect of it. How much they've overcome, not just the normal stuff of what happens with offensive linemen. There's 3 brand new starters. 1 is a rookie. 1 is a converted third-year player who's never started consistently, who converted from tackle to guard. And then the last one, he wasn't initially the starter, McCary. He's usually the super backup. And they decided to put him in over Voorhees. So you just talk about all the changes they had to make on that offensive line with these young and or inexperienced guys. And on top of it, they lost their offensive line coach, who was one of the best human beings that has ever walked that facility in Owings Mills. He's gone abruptly. So you have all of that put together that they have to overcome, and this is where they are today. And he's like, I think he would be proud. I agree, Tyler. So going back,
Bengals clearly are the best receivers.
Mina here, and saying the Bills have the better offensive line, although the Ravens have improved 1,000%. And then they're talking about Henry, and Henry is helped more by Lamar than vice versa. And stop bleeping, as they bleeped her out, on James Cook, who leads the league in touchdowns from that running back position. And as she points out, is right behind Derrick Henry in DVOA. And DVOA, by the way, accounts for opposing defenses. And so Dominique is like, okay. At first he's like, oh, he's number 3 behind number 2, Derrick Henry. I'm assuming number 1 is Saquon Barkley. They didn't say it, but that's my assumption. And he's like, oh, okay, it's pretty close. And then he's like, wait, how far? Is it like a big gap? Is it a big gap from number 2 to number 3 from Derrick Henry to James Cook? She's like, no, it's close. She didn't reveal the numbers. Maybe she will on Twitter. If somebody else has it, let me know. But okay, I'm willing to agree with what Mina is saying. Joe Burrow has the best wide receivers. Josh Allen has the best offensive line. Lamar Jackson has the best running back and tight ends. But the gap, if you actually watch the games and you see how much Lamar is helping Henry, and the gap in the DVOA between Henry and James Cook is not that far. So to just be like, okay, that's going to be my tiebreaker, no can do. No can do. Great stuff from Mina there. Okay, now another topic. Of course, they addressed statistics, and they both agreed coming out of it. If this was purely based on stats, Lamar Jackson has it hands down. Hands down. I don't need to play those clips. We all know it. Bills fans know it because every time we talk about it, they're like, stats mean nothing. Everybody knows it. Lamar wins in the statistical category. Then we're talking about supporting cast. Isn't that really a wash when you talk about everybody's different supporting casts? And we haven't even talked about the defense and special teams from the beginning of the year, but we'll get to that. They start to talk about strength of record and signature wins over strong teams. This was great. Let's talk about record and strength of wins.
If Baltimore and Buffalo played right now.
Yeah, it's different.
Hold on. I don't think I had it rewound all the way. Start it again.
Like if Baltimore and Buffalo played right now.
Yeah, it's a different game.
This wouldn't even be a conversation. Everybody, if that game was happening now, nobody would.
Yeah.
They would be over. So, but point is, the fact that he did that against the Chiefs and the other two, it just is what it is. Now, the common opponents thing. So Allen has the Chiefs over Lamar. Lamar has the Texans over him. And Allen's worst game were earlier in the season. That's, I think, a big part of this, what's driving this. Like the Texans' loss was earlier in the season, so everybody's kind of forgotten it. So, Lamar comes out and destroys them. I think, like, when you look at just the win quality.
Hey, let me just pause the video right there because people are asking if what would be over. Mina is saying that if Lamar and the Ravens played the Bills and Josh Allen in December instead of September, and they had the exact same outcome, she's saying the MVP race debate would be over and Lamar would win it. And her point is like it shouldn't be that way. Lamar beat him head to head, and he beat him soundly. What was the score? 35-10? It wasn't even close. So she's saying if that happened in December, we wouldn't even be debating the MVP race anymore. It would be Lamar's. Okay. Now, I also agree with her that if I were a Bills podcaster, right, and I was out there trying to make a case for Josh Allen, I would be pointing to the Chiefs win too. Okay. I'd be like, hey, here's a reason why you should give it to Josh over Lamar, even though Lamar has the better stats. Look at what he did against the 15-1 Chiefs. I think that's his best case. But the question becomes for MVP voters like Mina, does that one win overcome that Lamar beat Josh head to head, even though it was in September? And does it overcome the fact that in common opponents, the Ravens and Lamar Jackson demolished the Houston Texans and the Texans beat the Bills? So now Lamar's got that over him. And so she's trying to look at it across the entire season rather than being reactionary after each win or loss, which I love about her. Let's continue.
It is pretty close between Lamar and Burrow. Like looking at some of these Burrow performances, I mean, his performance against Philadelphia is really good. Like, but I'm not a QB wins person. I always point that out, but I guess it is notable that when these teams have played, Lamar's won, right? Like I think the Bengals games are close. The Bills game was not close. I think wins do matter for MVP, right? I think it's fair that they matter. Right. Now, people will point to Burrow and say, well, he didn't win those games because of his defense. And I would push back and say, well, like Jackson lost some of those games because his defense was for half the season. His field goal kicker couldn't make kicks his kicker couldn't make kicks. Like he wins that game if Justin Tucker makes some kicks.
Okay. Mina's just speaking the truth here. Just speaking the truth. Yesterday, Doug Clawson put out this stat. He said the Bills have wins versus the 15-1 Chiefs and the 14-2 Lions, making them the first team in NFL history to beat two 14-plus win teams in a season. Josh Allen combined for 747 total yards, 6 touchdowns, 1 turnover, and no times sacked in those games. And he says, resounding MVP statement. Of course, of all people, Dan Orlovsky replies and says, impressive. I will say it is impressive. I think it is impressive that Josh Allen and the Bills beat the Chiefs. Mina Kimes, I didn't pull the clip, but I agree with, I don't think the Lions one is as impressive because they played against the MASH unit. And I feel very confident if the Ravens played the Lions just like last year, that the Ravens would win that game. Everybody was wondering, well, can the Ravens, this happened last year. It was earlier in the season. The Lions were a strong playoff team, and it wasn't even close again. You're telling me with that MASH unit, the Ravens couldn't win? They could, but that's all hypotheticals. So, just want to point out, however, and this is to Mina's point, you have to look at totality and the strength of schedule. I'm going to get into this in her next clip. But as Garrett pointed out, fun follow in Ravens Flock, he said, here are the 2 MVP frontrunners against playoff teams. Now, he gives the Bengals the playoff nod and takes the Dolphins out. And we don't know that that's happening yet. That needs to play out. The Dolphins could make it, and the Bengals might not. But in his scenario, the Ravens lost the Chiefs, blew out the Bills, beat the Bengals, beat the Commanders, beat the Buccaneers, beat the Broncos, beat the Bengals, lost the Steelers, beat the Chargers, lost the Eagles, beat the Steelers in revenge game, and beat the Texans for a record of 9-3. And that's if the Bengals were to make the playoffs. Josh Allen lost in a blowout to the Ravens, lost the Texans, beat the Chiefs, lost the Rams, beat the Lions. That's a record of 2-3. If the Dolphins are put back into it, their record changes. Mina's not making her decision based on that solely alone, but she did talk about how many playoff teams the Ravens have beaten. I've shown this graphic before. I'm going to show it again. Look at the strength of schedule, the SOS column and the SOV column, which is strength of victory. The Ravens by far have the hardest strength of schedule of any of the teams in the playoffs, in the AFC, or vying for the AFC playoffs. It's not even close. 0.555. The next is the Houston Texans at 0.504. The Bills, a 0.477. It's not even close. Then how about the strength of victories? It's not even close again. Ravens. So this is the strength. This is the teams that they've beaten. How strong are these victories? A 0.551. Nobody's even in the fives. Buffalo Bills, 0.442. By the way, Bengals, as Burrow is getting himself back in the conversation, they got a 0.281 strength of victory. In this category, to me, even though Allen has that Chiefs win, and that was big for him, that one win does not overcome everything else that Lamar Jackson and the Ravens have had to do. And that ultimately brings us to Mina revealing her MVP pick and why she's doing it. This is my favorite clip. This is hilarious.
Speaking of history, by the way, I'm not a passer rating person, but Lamar Jackson has a chance of having the highest passer rating ever in NFL history. Right now, it's 121.6. Only one season ever has eclipsed that mark. Aaron Rodgers in 2011, 122.5.
I mean, I know you know why that's so impressive, but for those who don't understand, passer rating was kind of discarded by smart football people as an evaluation specifically because it underappreciates the value of someone like Lamar Jackson. So the idea that Lamar Jackson is so good at the thing at the stat that shortchanges him.
I love how Dominique Foxworth is bringing this alive. Think about what he is saying. Listen, I try to respond on Twitter, but I can't do it with everybody. I put out Lamar Jackson's historic season in a graphic last week, and I had the passer rating in there. And I obviously noted it when I was on Kay Adams' show, Up and Adams, on Monday. And I talked about how big of a deal this potential record is. The number one single season passer rating in NFL history from a man who is known for running. I posted that, and I had Bills fans in my mentions doing what they should do. They're fighting for their guy. I don't hate you for it. But this is a terrible argument. They were like, well, passer rating is outdated. People don't use that as much. They go to QBR now. Yeah, because we have more running quarterbacks now. It shortchanges the rushing of quarterbacks. And Lamar Jackson is the best to ever do it, and he's the best quarterback doing it this season. And Josh Allen can run, but he's not Lamar Jackson. So yeah, you're making an argument for Lamar, and you don't even know it. Passer rating is outdated. You can't use that. Do you know what you're saying right now? This stat shortchanges Lamar Jackson and what he does well, and yet he's on the cusp of being the best in history. It's just pure passing is what it's accounting for. Pure passing. QBR is what starts to give credit to quarterbacks for their rushing and other things. Come on. So as they're talking about how big of a deal this is, Mina lets it go. She reveals her pick.
It's just like crazy. He's leading the league in rush yards too for quarterbacks, right? I assume so.
Yeah.
Like 50.
Yeah.
He's going to get over 5,000 total yards, which is an incredible milestone that not a bunch of quarterbacks have made. And I'm sure anyone who's made it has probably been in large part because of their passing. It's not a combination.
I'm going to vote for Lamar.
Yeah.
However, and I think the deciding thing for me ended up being strength of schedule, to be honest. That was the thing that really jarred me. I mean, first of all, it's the fact that he's a leader in all these things, but also, just kind of looking at the teams that he's beat, some of the common opponents, the fact that he's beaten these quarterbacks. I know people are going to be like, you're such a hypocrite about wins, but whatever. Yeah. We're trying to figure out, signature moments and all of that. I will say, we're taping this week. If he drops a total dud this weekend, I'm probably gonna go Allen because it's that close for me. Yeah. And so my rankings ultimately were Lamar, Allen, then Burrow.
So there it is. There it is. She says, I'm gonna vote for Lamar, but she's not saying it's over. She said if he drops that against the Browns, maybe it'll change your mind. So Lamar is gonna have to play, and he's gonna have to play well. I don't think he's gonna have to put up a Jackson 5. But he can't have a bad game when the MVP race is this close. But that's it. I mean, she's sitting here talking about strength of schedule. She looks at the supporting cast, I think, as fairly as I've heard anybody do. And of course, she had an entire podcast, an hour-long podcast, to be able to flush through it all. Whereas most of these, first takes or facilities or whatever, they have to condense it into so many minutes. And there's everybody that's got to have their opinion. But there's your MVP voter, who is taking this incredibly seriously and looked at supporting cast, looked at wins, looked at records, looked at stats, looked at everything you could think of and saying, okay, I'm going to vote for Lamar, save he has a dud against the Browns. So there's one. I also say this, and I didn't get to it. Maybe I'll play it tomorrow, but Aaron Schatz, who voted against Lamar last year, was on Ken McCusic's film study. I encourage you to go listen to that. He didn't come out and say he's voting for Lamar, but he talked about how he uses DVOA. He talked about how DVOA led him to vote for Josh Allen last year. And he said the reverse of last year, where he felt like he said that Lamar had the better team and Josh Allen didn't. And so he voted for Josh. He said it's the reverse this year. So you're talking about supporting cast with his DVOA numbers. He feels like Josh has the better team. That's what he said. I'll bring the clip in tomorrow. But it's Lamar Jackson who does not. And so he basically said the reverse of what is happening now of what he saw happening last year, which implies that he may reverse his vote. We know that Mike Florio, after the Houston game, I believe, wrote MVP and put Lamar Jackson meme there. So listen, we don't know everybody's votes. We've been listening to Dan Orlovsky, who looks like he's gonna, vote for Josh, which is his prerogative, and Acho seems to be on the fence. But it does look like there's 3 voters there that look to be leaning in Lamar's way. Which, if all 3 of them were to vote for Lamar, that's more votes than any other person got in the last 2 times Lamar won the MVP race. So there it is. And one last thing I just want to say, because I didn't bring in as many clips from them. They talked a lot about Joe Burrow and his potential for winning it. But Mina was saying, I do think that you have to be able to win. And anybody that is arguing for Joe Burrow, including his own fan base, and Joe Burrow is having a phenomenal season, but Joe Burrow argued himself out of the MVP race and conceded that he probably won't win it and doesn't necessarily think that he should. Listen to this.
Did you get the MVP chance when you went off the field?
I did.
What were your thoughts?
I'll win one day.
You feel like this year might be the year for you or no?
I doubt it.
Why?
Usually you got to win your division.
Do you think like that's an outdated part of how it happens, or is it just something? It just kind of is what it is.
It is what it is. That's how it's voted. It is. I don't necessarily disagree with it, I would say.
He doesn't disagree with it. He feels like people usually need to win their division, bare minimum. A lot of times it's the number 1 seed. But he doesn't think he's going to win the MVP. They say why. He goes, because usually you have to win the division. Do you think that's outdated? Or do you think it is what it is? It is what it is. But I don't necessarily disagree with it. I mean, it's true. You can't be the most valuable and again, I get his defense and all of that. And let's not forget about Lamar's defense, especially early on. But you can't give prizes to losing teams. You can't give prizes to teams that is in week 18 and they don't have a playoff spot secured. They're number 3 in the Ravens division. Okay. And every year people always act like people are changing the criteria. And I don't think so. I think generally speaking, when you're voting for MVP, you're looking at individual statistics, team record, MVP moments, head-to-head matchups, and narrative. And it's always some combination of those things. And then the combination that you end up with each year depends on who the front runners are. Okay, so that's why people are like, well, the stats last year didn't seem to matter. No, it did. It did. But nobody had like Josh Allen would have won this year in last year's race. Lamar Jackson would have won this with this year in last year's race. Saquon Barkley, if he put this season together in last year's race, he would have won. And so the combination changes based on who the front runners are and how close they are in all these individual areas. One last thing, talking about, saying, Burrow has had to overcome their defense. Mina, in one of those clips I played, she's like, come on, what about the Ravens defense? And what about Justin Tucker? And then they bleeped her in what she said about him missing field goals. And I love to see more and more people using the QB betrayal index, because I feel like I was one of the early adopters of it. Spencer probably before me. He's more into the deeper analytics than me, but I love that he posted this yesterday. I've used this graphic a million times. Lamar Jackson heading into week 10 was the most betrayed quarterback by his special teams and defensive unit. Spencer tweets it out yesterday saying, I wonder if MVP voters will remember that the Ravens defense allowed the most explosive plays in the league, ranked dead last in EPA per pass play allowed, and the Ravens special teams struggled the majority of the season. But Lamar Jackson's heroics kept them afloat at 7-3. And there's the difference. Lamar Jackson's heroics overcame that. Joe Burrow was number 2 on that list going into week 10. So Joe Burrow has a case, but it's a case behind Lamar Jackson. because Lamar Jackson was more betrayed by his defense and special teams, and he kept his team at 7-3, where at that point, Burrow and his team were below 500. Okay, I think that concludes. One more thing. I was going to say that concludes our MVP talk for today. Scott, his name is cut off here. Kaxmar. He has been on one. If you guys don't follow him, he has been tearing apart Bills fans. Which I'm not here to tear apart anybody. I just like tearing apart arguments, not people. And this goes into the supporting cast argument, which I should have brought up back when we were talking about Derrick Henry, when Mina Kimes was talking about that. This is amazing right here. A follower came to Scott and said, talking about supporting casts. Everybody's like, well, what would happen if this team lost Josh Allen, or the Ravens lost Lamar Jackson, or the Chiefs lost Mahomes, yada, 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 yada. And that's all hypothetical unless you just want to look back at what they did individually before. So this follower says, I think Josh Johnson would win 10 games, 9 minimum. Scott says the Ravens are 4-10. That's a 29% percentage, a win percentage. The Ravens are 4-10 when Lamar Jackson doesn't start. 4-10. And then the guy comes back. He's like, well, not with Derrick Henry. Scott reminds him, Titans are 6-17 in their last 23 games with Derrick Henry. Like, what are we doing here? People are trying to argue an MVP vote based off of hypotheticals. Well, and a lot of people do it. JJ Watt did it the other day on the Pat McAfee show. So I'm not saying it's like just some fan that does it. But how can you decide an MVP vote based off of a hypothetical? Well, if the Bills lost Josh, they would be worse than if the Ravens lost Lamar because they have Derrick Henry. Oh, okay. Well, the Titans were 6-17 in the last 23 games with Derrick Henry, 4-10 the last several times the Ravens didn't have Lamar Jackson starting for him. Let's get back to Super Chats. Where did we leave off? I wish that this thing would just leave it where it was. Take a second. Happy New Year. Let's see here. Marlo. Okay, here we are. Okay, Olu says, I love the vibes. Hashtag vault. My bad. You had to get the hashtag in there. Balti Raven, Happy New Year. Flock Championship 2025. Hashtag vault. Sean says, ZO for Ravens next head coach. Hashtag vault. Oh boy, Sean, you may not like my last segment of the show based off of that super chat. Simplicity, Ravens versus Vikings Super Bowl. Happy New Year. Hashtag vault. Purple teams. I don't hate it. Smodius, we need to hear about your New Year's party, Sarah. Hashtag vault. Mine was not as exciting, I'm sure. I went to a friend's house. There were probably, but it was a house for families. So I brought, obviously, my kids, and my husband was all there. So there were like a gazillion teenagers. There were younger kids because my kids range from 15 to 7. So we were with friends that also have families that range from that. And I was tired. I told you guys I'd be tired, but I tried to take a nap leading into it. We didn't show up until 10 o'clock. Tons of food. We did like those kind of like, there were tons of games. We played games. We had, the normal poppers and hats and sunglasses and cheers at midnight. It was great. I probably didn't get to bed until, we stayed a while. I probably didn't get to bed till 1:30 or 2. And so that kind of, and then, they had a lot to get done this morning after being up till 2. So it was a good night, quick turnaround from my end. So my apologies for being late. But it was great. And this morning I got up feeling so excited about doing goals and all that kind of stuff. Justin Holt, Happy New Year, Flock. Peace and blessings. Hashtag vault. Jermaine Sawyer, we need a Ravens Edgar Allan Poe dark intro for the start of the playoffs. Visualize it with me, Flock, Ravens media team. Let me make this happen. Hashtag Happy New Year. Hashtag vault. You got to go talk to those guys over at the Ravens. Can't help you with that, but I'm here for it. The Comic Den, getting an 8 jersey with the one who knocks. Hashtag vault. I like that. JT, thank you for please put hashtag vault in there so you can be entered in. Mark again with the massive chat. Here we go. Happy New Year. Thank you, Mark. Same to you. Eric Murphy, Ardarius plays like a Tasmanian devil. Hashtag vault. Asmodeus is back again. Ardarius Washington is the true honey badger or Wolverine. Hashtag vault. I like that. Give him Wolverine so we don't have the same name. Sarah's doing God's work. MV3 hashtag vault. Asmodeus, request Sarah words of wisdom at the end of vault. I don't know if it'll be totally wise, but just something I was thinking about. Don C. Sarah, Happy New Year. This super chat is for the people in the chat. Most I've known for years on several different platforms. We have TV and cable. We choose to be on YouTube because of this community. Amen. This is the way things are going. This is the way I think we're seeing less and less people on cable and elsewhere. I think more people will be getting their news from podcasts and shows that are on YouTube. And while I certainly wasn't one of the first, I mean, think about Ingraven and Pat McAfee from a national level. This is where people can grow their audience. And I may have been maybe in the second or third wave of it, but happy to be here. Love that, Don C. Joseph says, bundle up Saturday, back to back North champs, hashtag vault. There you go. I like that energy. Deshaun Davis, you should get Mina and Pat McAfee on the show, hashtag vault. I've tried to reach out to Mina. She's a busy lady. I know she's got new babies. Haven't been able to get a reply yet. And a lot of people on Twitter reached out to her too, but no such luck. Happy New Year from Dreams, hashtag vault. Mel, Sarah, I hope Acho can make a collab with you, hashtag vault. Yeah. So first of all, I want to say thank you to all of you because I said you guys go out and tag at Acho, give him some friendly encouragement to come on the phone. And boy, did you guys come through. I mean, he probably got 50 of you saying go on the show with Sarah. I haven't followed up because it was New Year's Eve last night and it's New Year's Day. Most people don't have work today. I know my husband's home. I'm going to finish up and go celebrate the rest of the day with him and my kids and as soon as we're done here. So I wanted to give him New Year's, but I will probably follow up tomorrow morning. Steve, we definitely got to get it done before he votes. I mean, we could always do it afterwards, but I think it would be more fun if we did it before he votes. Okay, Mark Clayton. It's not the Mark Clayton, is it? Meaning Ravens wide receiver drafted in 2005, hashtag vault. Leslie Jean, Sarah, keep fighting the good fight. You are awesome. Thank you. Appreciate that. Wildlife says Saquon has a better cast than any of them. He has a great cast. Joy Walker, any updates on the debate with Acho on MVP race? Hashtag vault. So I just addressed that. Thank you for following up, Joy. Wildlife says, forgot my hashtag vault. LOL. Balti Raven, the league all-time rushing leader at quarterback with the all-time highest QB rating would have to be seen as virtually unstoppable quarterback of all time. Lamar Jackson, the GOAT, hashtag vault. Absolutely. I told you he's transformative. Tila, hashtag vault. Happy New Year. King Lee, Happy New Year, hashtag vault. Let's go flock. Cameron Hines, if Dan O uses wide receiver separation for quarterback MVP in the past, okay. But if not, then he is definitely reaching hashtag vault. No, I don't think he should have ever used it. Let's throw that away as a part of the MVP talk. Asmodeus, you were Ingraven's best special guest early on, hashtag vault. I loved going on his show. He's great. David Scott, did you leave the Ravens to start the vault, or did you have other avenues of work after leaving hashtag vault? No, vault definitely came after. So I left the Ravens in 2018. I was offered to keep writing late for work. We were going to take it year by year. So it was like, you could do it for another year and then we'll revisit. And we were in the middle of negotiations of doing that. And then, as you guys know, I'm very faith-based, and I was praying, and I just didn't feel right. It didn't feel right. Can't explain it. Just got that. Have you guys ever had that? You just get that gut feeling that it was like, I just had the impression that it was time to walk away and have a complete clean break. And I wanted to focus on my family. I mean, I was working a lot, and I had 4 kids in the 13 years that I was working there. And when that 4th one came around, man, I got that scratch in the back of my throat. When that 4th one came around and I was doing late for work and I was doing Man of the Crowd and I was an editor, when I tell you, like, the hours were insane and I just didn't feel like I was giving my my best foot forward to these 4 babies. So I wanted a clean break. And then Bobby called me, reached out to me when my youngest daughter was heading into full-time school. And the timing couldn't have been any better. So no, I left wanting to take a break, and I got a good break for a couple years. And I loved it. I absolutely loved it. Thank you, David Scott, for that question. Where am I? Shockwave Truth. Sarah, if you combine Josh's storyline and Joe's stats, you get LJ8 season. And then last one here from Chris. If you don't win, it's rigged. This is for my cuz. #Vault. Chris always has those lines here. Okay. Everybody's telling me to drink tea. Too late. That boat has sailed, as I'm not going to put you on hold to go and do that. So let's get back to here real quick. Let me bring it back up, these slides. Let's see. Oh, this might be in the quick hits. Have we made... let me see where I'm at here. Okay. Yeah, I'll just do these 2 slides and then come back to it. But Lamar Jackson, by the way, I put this tweet out the other day. He's on track to have the NFL's 3rd season with 30-plus touchdowns and an interception percentage below 1%. He's the 3rd QB to do that. The first 2 QBs that did it, they won MVP. Here's what I do have is I have a cough drop, so maybe that'll help in just a minute here. Where is Bobby when I need him to? So I can mute and cough. 1 second. Give me a second. I'm not even sick. I just think it's because I've been talking for so long. This is, again, why I like X and the new algorithm. They're trying to boost good content, not necessarily just content from bigger platforms. So Trill Withers quote retweets that, and he says, well, those 2 quarterbacks, right? Aaron Rodgers and Tom Brady, who are the only ones who also had 30 or more touchdowns and an interception percentage below 1. Trill quotes retweets that and says, what if 2010 Tom Brady ran for 900 yards, all for bleeps and giggles? I mean, that is why Mina, when they were talking about this type of stuff, Mina was like, yeah, I'm voting for Lamar. Like, how do you not? It's insane. It's transformative. Also, we heard from Joe Burrow saying he doesn't think that he's going to win MVP and doesn't necessarily disagree with it. Mike at Trags quoted Joe Burrow when he was asked about the possibility of this possibly being his last game with Jamar Chase and T. Higgins. They haven't been re-signed. Burrow says, it's obviously a possibility, not one I'm thrilled about. He says, you don't want to make a living out of letting great players leave your building. Joe sending a message to his front office. Okay, before I get to quick hits, I've been teasing this about how John Harbaugh deserves some of our praise. So I'm going to read some parts of all people, Mike Preston from the Baltimore Sun. And yes, he has this headline, Ravens coach John Harbaugh deserves praise, not ire. I didn't have time to screenshot some of this stuff, so I'm going to share my screen. Won't read the whole thing, but I want to read some of this because I think he's absolutely right. We are on here fighting for and praising Lamar Jackson every day. And we've talked about how we're not going to trash players around him to try to boost him up. Not going to trash Derrick Henry. Not going to trash his receivers. Not going to trash anybody to try to make his case better for MVP. A lot of times, people will try to, and again, John Harbaugh is not without criticism. I've said this before. He hasn't had enough playoff wins since the Super Bowl. And you can criticize the in-game management and stuff that happens there too. But let's listen to a little bit of what Mike Preston has to say and why he deserves some of our praise. Mike writes, John Harbaugh has been the Ravens coach since 2008, so understandably, he is the focus of angry fans after each loss. They send emails to reporters asking if he has lost the locker room. They call into talk radio shows questioning his game day decisions, wondering if the team lacks leadership, asking loudly if he will be fired if they don't go deep into the playoffs. But Harbaugh, now 62, has done well. The Ravens can clinch the AFC North for the second straight year with a win Saturday at home against the Browns. They have some questionable losses to Las Vegas, Cleveland, and Pittsburgh, but Baltimore is still among the favorites in the AFC to deny the Kansas City Chiefs a chance at becoming the first team to win 3 straight Super Bowls. Of course, you can question Harbaugh's game day decisions, his challenges, or when he's called 2 timeouts to draw a penalty. You can question his desire to go for a 4th and 1 deep in Ravens territory in the first half of the Los Angeles Chargers game in late November. But here's a fact. The Ravens are going to the playoffs for the 3rd straight year with a fairly balanced team. Here are more facts. Since becoming coach, Harbaugh's Ravens have failed to make the playoffs only 5 times, and he has a 183 to 114 record with the Super Bowl title in 2014. That's not to say things can't fall apart, especially if the Ravens falter early or get blown out in the postseason. Totally agree. We're going to really know how the season went once we know what happened in the postseason. So things could fall apart. But Mike continues. But overall, his managing skills have been impressive. There were not threats. There were the deaths of former wide receiver Jacoby Jones, one of the team's most popular figures of the previous decade, and Joe DeAlessandris, and the Ravens' beloved offensive line coach in late August. There were also the private meetings he had with his offensive assistant shortly after last season's 17-10 loss to Kansas City in the AFC Championship game to retool the offense. Not to mention having first-year coordinator Zack Orr, 32, run what was the NFL's best defense a year ago. But it was without 3 top assistants as teams plundered Baltimore in the offseason. There was also unfavorable schedule that was ranked the 4th toughest by Sharp Football Analytics before the season started. It included 2 stretches of games in which the Ravens played 3 games in 15 days and another 3 in 11. Woo, it's been a whirlwind of the season. At least the Ravens had the foresight to reshape the offense around quarterback Lamar Jackson's needs, but the death of Coach D was devastating. It's hard to replace a friend and fellow coach most of the other assistants confided in. His memories and expressions and plays are tough to forget. The Ravens brought in George Warhop as Coach D's replacement, and many questions about the line have disappeared despite having rookie Roger Rosengarten starting at right tackle, third-year player Daniel Fa'alele starting at right guard, and Patrick McCary moving from a swing tackle to starting left guard. The Ravens still struggle in pass protection, especially when trailing and in obvious passing situations, but they are number 2 in the NFL in rushing yards behind the never-aging Derrick Henry, who has rushed for 1,783 yards this season. As for Orr, it's all about perspective. The Ravens lost coordinator Mike McDonald and defensive assistants Anthony Weaver and Denard Wilson. And because of the influx of new assistants and changing personnel, it was always going to take time to get the defense to perform at a high level. There are still questions about this group, particularly defending passes over the middle. The Ravens haven't faced a strong passing team in a month and won't on Saturday versus Cleveland. But the bottom line is the Ravens defense has gotten better, much better. After being the NFL's worst passing defense the first 10 weeks of the season, they made some key moves. They put Ardarius Washington at safety and put Marcus Williams on the bench. They moved safety Kyle Hamilton from near the line of scrimmage to help out more on the back end. Linebackers Chris Board and Malik Harrison started taking more time away from second-year weak side linebacker Trenton Simpson. A lot of credit will go to Orr, but Harbaugh had to sign off on those changes. That's what head coaches do. But being an NFL head coach isn't about schemes and designing X's and O's. It isn't just about those things. It's also about monitoring social media and managing relationships. It's interesting how Harbaugh handles Jackson. Regardless of how he plays, he always says good things about his 7-year starter. The Ravens have planned training camp practices around Jackson's behaviors, and even this year allowed him to skip 2 straight Wednesday practices. I don't remember that. That would not have happened in early Harbaugh years, but it's nothing unusual for star players in the NFL. As long as their on-the-field contributions outweigh their personality and possible off-the-field distractions, this will always be a star system. There aren't any more questions about Orr. Bringing in former defensive coordinator Dean Pease has apparently worked out, yet there will always be Harbaugh critics. Some say he's gotten out-coached previously by the likes of New England's coach Bill Belichick, and some will say it will happen again if he meets Kansas City's Andy Reid. My question is, who hasn't gotten out coached by those guys? They are legends. I've never subscribed to the theory that a good coach can't be replaced. It really comes down to the organization. If they have the right front office personnel in place, that group will find the right new coach. Look at Pittsburgh, where Mike Tomlin replaced Bill Cowher, and even here in Baltimore, where Harbaugh replaced Brian Billick. But right now, it will be fascinating to see how this season plays out. So far, Harbaugh has made all the right moves, even replacing his trainers 3 years ago with new ones to reduce the amount of injuries. Then he's got a quote in here from Harbaugh himself, and at the end, he just kind of concludes that Harbaugh has the right attitude the Ravens should have, or that's the attitude the Ravens should have with Harbaugh right now. So I know that was a long one, but I wanted to share it because, you know, as we've said, Harbaugh hasn't been perfect, but I love the way Mike just overall talked about all the challenges this year. And I will repeat, if Lamar Jackson went down, I don't think the Ravens would have made the playoffs. Lamar Jackson, it's a player's game, and Lamar Jackson is the straw that stirs this drink. But when you talk about this offensive line and how far they've come, and obviously Lamar Jackson helps the offensive line with the death of Coach D, you talk about the losses of the defensive assistants, the losses in the player personnel, and how Harbaugh never gave up, and how he's been working and grinding with Zack Orr and the coordinators and the personnel changes that they made. It's just been crazy. It's just been crazy. And to give no credit to John Harbaugh, I think would be a mistake. I think it'd be a mistake. He deserves plenty of credit. We will revisit him and how the whole season went, because we know how the postseason went down last year. And I do think the Ravens lost because of coaching in the AFC Championship game. So I feel like Harbaugh has done everything he can do to try to redeem that game. But just like the Ravens can't redeem that loss just by beating the Chiefs in the regular season or any other time, it needs to be in the playoffs. John Harbaugh needs to redeem that game by coaching well in the playoffs. But he's done everything he can do up through January 1st. And I think he deserves plenty of praise, certainly more praise this year than he deserves criticism, in my view. Okay. I'll give a last call for super chats. Then we'll do quick hits, and then we'll do the last ones after that. Okay. Hold on. I want to put this up and this. And we'll go back to the comments here. Purple and black. Coming here for Chris again. Purple and black. This is for Chris to win again. #Vault. Sammy E. Keep pushing MVP voters. I have money on it. #Vault. Jang, just want to say Happy New Year to you and Bobby and everyone in this community. Ravens will be the kings of the North this Saturday. Let's go. #Vault. Miguel, calendar year touchdowns. What a joke. If you don't know what that means, I'll have the slide and quick hits. #Vault. Thank you, Miguel. Oceans, just saw Eagles are sitting Barkley. That sucks. That doesn't surprise me, though. Adam Schefter said that on Monday that was going to happen. Eye of the Taurus. Tila for the win. #Vault. Happy New Year 2025. I don't know what Tila did, but apparently you won. Jody Williams. We all know that LJ saved Harbaugh's job in 2018 and continues to make it work to this day in spite of Harbaugh's coaching miscues. #Vault. I agree with about half of that, Jody. You got to give the man his praise. Come on. We don't need to never give him any praise ever. That's my view, but you can have yours, obviously, of course. Okay. Last quick hits, last call for super chats. I'll go through these quick hits and then And then we will declare a winner. So you saw Miguel just talked about this. So at NFL Game Day, put out this graphic. Hold on, I gotta get this off. Most offensive touchdowns in the calendar year of 2024, including playoffs. Listen, okay. Josh Allen, 50. Lamar Jackson, 48. Baker Mayfield, 48. Joe Burrow, 44. Jared Goff, 43. Then they ask, who the touchdown leader for 2025? Who will be the touchdown leader for 2025? Listen, I get it. They're trying to come up with the post that works for the holiday of the new year. But what are we doing here? Who cares who had the most touchdowns in a calendar year? That's not how this works. Like, we look at it in seasons and postseasons. It doesn't help Ravens fans who are conspiracy theorists and feel like the NFL has written a script that Josh Allen will win it all. I don't subscribe to that conspiracy theory, but it doesn't help. Like, it just seems like a silly post. Okay, the fan voting, I believe, has closed. And as Jonas Schaefer reported, after Lamar Jackson led the AFC's Pro Bowl quarterback fan voting for much of the process, Joe Burrow was the one who finished number one in AFC fan voting. So those Bengals fans really came alive in the stretch there as they started winning more. Derrick Henry was still the top vote getter among AFC running backs, and Kyle Hamilton led AFC safeties. So now it's going to go to coaches and players to vote. Kyle at I'm Kyle Mang put up the incentives players are working for heading into this Week 18 game. Derrick Henry will earn $500,000 with one more rushing touchdown to reach 15. Kyle Van Noy will earn $250,000 for 12 and 14 sacks. He's currently at 11.5. And Justice Hill, who should be back, it's going to be tough for him, will earn $500,000 for 8 receptions or 117 receiving yards. Sorry, Justice. That concussion probably spoiled that for you. Jake Asman, who's a Jets reporter, he was also instrumental in helping me and Bobby get into Radio Row during the Super Bowl. He said that Rex Ryan tells me that he expects to speak with the Jets for their head coaching opening after the regular season ends. Rex Ryan has been talking nonstop about how he loves the Jets and wishes he was coaching there. He says that a lot when he's on ESPN. So he is not giving up. Not giving up. And I was asked about this yesterday in the Super Chats, and I didn't fully know what – I had not fully seen it, and they asked for my reaction, and I didn't have one. And once the show closed, I saw this tweet making its rounds. This looks like a Chiefs fan put this out and noted that Dan Orlovsky is a paid contributor to the Bills Network show. And so he says that he has all the incentives to prop up Josh Allen. Lots of people tagged me to this on Twitter. One person said, well, Sarah's been exposing Dan. I want to make clear where I stand on this. This was new information for me in the middle of the show yesterday. I am not in the reputation destroying business. I am in the debate business. That's what I like to do. I have been exposing Dan Orlovsky's arguments for Josh Allen over Lamar Jackson. I like Dan Orlovsky, and I think he's a good guy. I have no problem with Dan Orlovsky having an MVP vote, even though he gets paid to go on to a show once a week that is sponsored, that it's a Bills show, and he goes on and answers some questions. For example, and I think you guys might be surprised how often, because when Roquan Smith, right, was a frequent guest on our show last year. That was because Bobby and I were able to go out and get a sponsor to pay Roquan to be a regular guest on our show. In no way do I think that by him being on our show made Roquan think he had some sort of loyalty to us. We didn't get the sponsor this year. We couldn't present it to him, and he didn't come back on. People go on shows when they are paid to do so. And I think it should be okay that MVP voters do the same. And while it probably hasn't come out, I'm sure there are many MVP voters that get paid for doing local stuff. All these guys go and do local things all the time. And for the vast majority of the time, you're being paid. Because that's so normal, in no way, and I highly doubt he's being paid a crazy amount of money to do so. I mean, I'm sure it's a good amount, but to the point where it would like somehow influence him and his MVP vote, I personally don't buy that. Tom Brady is a partial owner of the Raiders. And they vote for more things than MVP. They could vote for Defensive Player of the Year. He might say, oh, I think it's Crosby. Right? Now, do I think it's a good look? Probably not. And so if you want to be above board, then don't do that. But these types of deals are made long before they know who's even going to be in the MVP race. Long before. Happens all the time. So does it make me think that there's something nefarious going on? Personally, no, I do not. I'm okay with Dan Orlovsky having his MVP vote. I just think he's making terrible arguments, which is why I've been fighting against it for quite some time. Okay. That concludes our quick hits, and that concludes all the content I have today. Let's finish up with the final super chats, and then we will select our winner. Let's put Homage back up here so we know who is presenting this show. All right, back to comments. Okay, here we go. Olu says Harbs is Hall of Fame low key. We are lucky. #Vault. I honestly do think. I mean, obviously, if the Ravens were to win a Super Bowl, he will be an easy lock. But I think he's a Hall of Famer regardless. Zhang, hats and T-shirts this Saturday. #Vault. And True Sun, Happy New Year, Vault family. Pray that your next is blessed. Me too. Me too. Okay. Let's do this. Let's bring up share screen here. The giveaway tool. Let's see how many people are entered. 55 entries. Okay, this is for a free t-shirt from Homage. I am sporting one right now. One of their new t-shirts that they have that features the Ravens' new purple alternate helmet. We all know that you guys need to be geared up for the playoffs. So if you don't win this, click on the link, go check out the gear, grab something, use the Vault 20 code to get 20% off. But here we go. In 3, 2, 1, who will be our winner? Randomly selected here. Who's it gonna be? Cameron Hines. Cameron Hines is our winner. What did Cameron say? I do feel like I remember reading Cameron. Let's see. Let's come up here, see what Cameron had to say. Holy cow. I just noticed that there are 5,760 concurrent listeners right now. Holy cow. Just me on Solo Sarah Day. We are nearly 6,000 people. Are you kidding me? I appreciate you guys. I appreciate you guys. Oh my gosh, there's so many super chats. I don't know if I'm going to be able to find it. I don't know what Cameron said. But you guys be sure to congratulate him. Man, there are so many super chats. Scrolling through. Cameron, do me a favor. Let me tell you what you need to do. You need to email me, BaltimoreRavensVault @gmail.com. Send me, here he is, Cameron Hines. If Dan O uses wide receiver separation for quarterback MVP in the past, okay. But if not, then he's definitely reaching #Vault. I remember at the time I was like, no, I don't think you should use it at all. But I appreciate you trying to give him grace. There. So that is the winner. Cameron, email me a link to the t-shirt that you want over at Homage. Send me the size that you want. Send me a screen grab that you've liked this video and you're subscribed to the show. And send me your shipping address also so I can send it over to Homage and they'll get it over to you quickly. I'm wondering, Chris, did you get yours yet? Is it there, Chris? Let us know. I think Chris was our last winner. Okay. One other thing, just as some Asmodeus wanted me to bring this back up and I didn't want to go down a rabbit hole, but I was saying how I woke up this morning in 2025 feeling like Lamar, the way Lamar looked after Marlon Humphrey had this pick 6 and Lamar was still locked in and upset at himself for not for throwing an interception. And I tweeted that. I tweeted out a picture of Lamar looking locked in. And I said, you know, my mood heading into 2025 as I set personal professional, family, and spiritual goals. So my thing that I've recently come to learn, and that I believe, is that a lot of times people don't set goals because goals are judgmental. Nobody likes to be judged. Nobody likes it. And so you don't want to look at a goal. And this is why I say you can't always only care about being an underdog. You can't be afraid of expectations. Expectations are judgmental. And that's why people don't want them. Nobody wants high expectations because if you miss it, they're going to judge you and that you failed in reaching it. But I want to get to a point in my life where I have goals sitting right here on my desk in front of me. My husband does this too. He's kind of inspired me. That I've got goals right here and they're judging me nonstop. Because I'm the one who set the standard. I'm the one who set the expectation. Nobody else. I want to judge myself based off of what I think my potential is. I want to judge myself based off of what I think I can reach in 2025. And you have kind of mini goals along the way, right? Daily or whatever. And so I want to write them down, put it out in the universe, and have them judge me nonstop. And I look at them in the eye and say, I'm not afraid of high expectations. I'm not afraid of, and I'm sure some of them I'll fall short on. I'm sure I will. I'm positive I will. Because they're going to be high, lofty goals. But you better believe those that I fail on, I'm going to fail reaching. I'm going to fail reaching. I'm not going to fail looking away and being in fear. That's not going to happen. Not going to happen. People always say, don't judge me, don't judge me, don't judge me. I don't want to be judged unrighteously. But I am going to judge myself with the expectations I set for myself. And I'm not going to feel ashamed at all if I fall short while I'm reaching and stretching myself as far as I can. So, if you feel so inclined, I encourage you to do the same. Because I'm telling you, you will look back. I'm looking back at 2024. I've already discussed it with my husband. We did it on my birthday on how I just turned 45. So I'm heading into my 46th year. Isn't that how it works? And I was like, man, was 2024 amazing. And it's because of this. It's because of growth. It's not because of what you have. It's like relationships and it's growth. That's what fuels me. My relationships and my growth. Nobody's ever happy standing still. Nobody's ever happy doing that. So when 2026 comes around, I'm going to, once again, I will have looked at those goals in the eye without fear all year long and let them judge me. And I'll judge myself again at the end of 2025. And so if you want to do the same, join me. Be Lamar, have that face, lock in, and push yourself and judge yourself by your own standards and your own expectations. That's my thought as we end here. And now Purple and Black. Now we got more super chats coming in. Purple and Black, love your life talk, Sarah. Purple heart emoji. Asmodeus, I shared this at church last Sunday. With goals, failure is an opportunity. 100%. Asmodeus, is this when you went to the LDS church? Are you LDS, Asmodeus? What is happening here? Tony, amen, Sarah. Happy New Year 2025. Okay. I just need to know. I just need to know from Asmodeus. Listen. Oh, and when I talked to Bobby, prior to the show when he was driving home, I asked him for patrons because he's got the list of them. He didn't have them on the road, so it's all good. I promise you. I'm not forgetting this time, Tila. I know you got my back. And I did say they are words of wisdom. Oh, Asmodeus, was this at the LDS church you said you're at? You told me yesterday. Sarah, can we get you into a Baptist church here in Baltimore? Oh, I got to tell you. Okay, so listen, the Ravens part of this is over. If you need to go, you can go with the 6,000 people that are listening. Mary asked me about going to a Baptist church. So I got to tell you the story. So when I was, Tila was like, I wasn't going to say it again, LOL. No, I need you, Tila. It's just that this time, this is a planned, we'll double up tomorrow. So when I was in Baltimore, living there, I worked with my church, obviously. And one of the things I did this for 10 years. One of the things I was charged with was working with other churches in the community. And we wanted to be able to like work together to do good in the Baltimore community. So I don't know if some of you guys know him, but Dr. Reverend Hathaway, he's the pastor at the longest running Baptist church in downtown Baltimore. We worked together quite a bit, and he invited some church leaders and me down to the Baltimore Baptist Church down there. And when I tell you, when I walked in, I got chills. There's just so much history there. And so what we did is we planned, listen to this, we planned a Sunday service together, the Baptist church and the local LDS church, and we did a Martin Luther King Jr. service together. One of Martin Luther King Jr.'s famous quotes was that Sundays was one of the most segregated times in America because, you know, just based on race, you would go to the church that you go to. So we worked together with Reverend Hathaway, and we did, like I said, a joint service on the Sunday before MLK. That was like, we're almost coming up on the anniversary of that. But we did a joint choir too. They put together some members of the LDS choir and then some members of the Baptist choir. And when I tell you, that was one of my favorite services ever. I just got chills as they were singing and celebrating and some of the speeches that were given and talks. And just so inspiring. So that was my Baptist story. And I will also say this, because LDS, when you go to church at an LDS church, it's more, they try to keep it more, it's not up and clapping and yelling and all that kind of stuff. It's just definitely a different vibe. It tries to keep it more like sacred and quiet and thoughtful and all that kind of stuff. But another thing I did when I was in Baltimore working with the church is oh my gosh, how am I going to forget her name? We had a concert with, how am I forgetting her name? Oh, what's the song? Taking the midnight train down to Georgia. How am I forgetting her name? Oh my gosh, Bobby is about to come in. We're gonna bring.
Yeah, it's 2:16. Of course, I'm coming in.
Wait, Bobby, who's saying taking the midnight train down to Georgia so I can finish this family? And we have got to get your Gladys Knight. Thank you, Chris. How I forgot a legend like Gladys Knight. Anyway, Gladys Knight put on a concert at the LDS church. Bobby, we got down to a church rabbit hole. Was talking about goals, and somebody said you should come. Can you come to a Baptist church? And so I gave stories of like. Anyway, when Gladys Knight came, it was more of like a Baptist field. Usually, I was saying an LDS church were like more. It's like more solemn. It's more quiet. I mean, we have songs and all that, but there's not like clapping and all that kind of stuff. But when Gladys Knight came, they were like, "Okay, we're gonna take a break from our normal stuff. Feel free to jump up and clap and sing along and all that kind of stuff." And I was like, I have a personality that would fit the Baptist church for sure. Bobby, hello. How are you?
Happy New Year. I got our patrons loaded as well.
Oh, you got some patrons. You drove home. You made it. Let's give a shout out to the patrons. And then,
Let's do it.
And then I'll just let you say what you want to say. You can say as little or as much as you'd like.
First of all, this kind of feels like the apocalypse or something. It's 2:18 and you and I are live right now, right? This is so strange.
This is strange because I started about 25 minutes late, as you know, because you were on the phone guiding me through some stuff. And then, of course, the episode went long because it's Homage giveaway day. And there's so many super chats. And obviously, I had a lot to say. And now you're here last minute. So what the heck? Let's just roll with this.
And look at the audience. I mean, over 5,800 strong at 2:18. Apparently, we got to potentially reassess when we go live. Holy heck!
I know. Seriously. Well, it is a day off. It's New Year's Day, so most people aren't working.
It is.
Yeah.
That's true. Toei Faree, Stephen Fear the Turtle. Thank you guys for believing in what we're building. Thank you for the support that you continue to give us as valued members of the Vault Patreon community. And oh man, hour and 56 running. These guys got a good episode here, Toey and Steven. Thank you guys. If you guys are interested in doing the same this football season and joining the Vault Patreon community, you can do so by visiting patreon.com/Ravens Vault podcast. Who won our giveaway? I didn't catch that.
It was Cameron Hines.
Cameron Hines. Okay.
Yeah.
What was his
Yeah,
chat
yeah.
about?
He was talking about the wide receiver separation stats that Dan Orlovsky was given.
Nice.
Yeah.
Is
Yeah.
Mark Clayton the Mark Clayton who's
That's what
dropping
I asked. That's what I
$49.99?
asked. That's what I asked, but I also didn't have time to check out the answers to that.
Oh, wow. Okay. Well, if that's the case, that'd be awesome. We'd love to have Mark on at some point, obviously.
I'm pretty sure Mark follows me on Twitter. We could probably reach out.
And this was it right here? This
Yep.
was the winner?
That's
Winner,
it.
winner, chicken dinner?
And I'm glad you're back because now I can mute when I need a cough. I've got a scratch back there, Bobby. I've been talking a long time.
Well, I just couldn't help but come on for a number of reasons. One, because you were still live, so how could I not? Two, I wanted to wish everyone a happy new year, obviously. Three, I can clear up that I am doing just fine, okay?
You're not
Physically,
hungover. Look.
I've never been better, okay?
Yes.
And four, I wanted to obviously say thanks to you for once again covering. And
Always.
I'm going to continue to hold myself to what I set a couple days prior, just in terms of expectation. Done a lot of oversharing. I've enjoyed it. I know some of you have enjoyed it, but I feel like this is potentially something to be excited about. And so we were in Syracuse. It was a double date. There will be another one extended into day 2. And I think there's a connection here. So we'll leave it at that. And from there, you will know everything, everybody else.
I can't wait till the stream ends because then I will be getting more details. It's not even an option, quite
And
frankly.
it's not to say that we don't want to let all you in on what's happening. It's just I don't want to jinx it. I want to be respectful to all involved, as always. And then if it gets to a point where I feel more comfortable and she feels more comfortable, then we'll get there when we get there.
It just seems like 2025 is off to a great start. Would you agree with that?
I mean, our viewership is through the roof.
Yeah.
You're just a couple days removed from your birthday. You had an awesome time celebrating. You've done a lot of reflecting. I've caught a number of this episode. So yeah, there's a lot to love. And wow, 79 super chats. Is that what the final number is?
87.
Do we have more to get to that we haven't already yet?
Oh wait, there's some new ones that did come in. Oh, Asmodeus has answered some of my questions. Oh wow, there are some more. I had this one. Okay, and I got to this one. Okay, right here with Tony. Did I read that one? Amen, Sarah. Happy New Year, 2025. Thank you, Tony. This is new. You want to read some because my throat, my voice is dying.
Yep, I'll read as many as you'd like. Dre Dog, what's up, brother? Happy New Year. Oftentimes in life coaching sessions, I let people know your goals are your ultimate reflection of your self-success. Don't be afraid to look. That's kind of what you were referencing a few minutes ago.
Yep.
And Asmodeus, Richard, is giving you some, I think you were just alluding to
because
this.
I asked him if he was LDS because he said he was at the LDS church and he said he shared this message. And I'm like, wait, so are you LDS? He was born in the church.
He said, yep. Go ahead.
Born in the church. I still go to church occasionally, but I consider myself Buddhist/Taoist. Okay.
He also is calling me blind date bagging Bobby Bachelor. And Diamond Bowl writes, Lamar at 51% has the third best QB DVOA since 2000, which ties him with 06, Peyton Manning, behind only 04, Manning, and 07, Brady. Allen has 27%, and Burrow 19%, not close. So continuing to dig into the statistics when it comes to pinning these two quarterbacks up against one another. Baltimore Raven says Sarah held it down today, so just keeping the party going. We are into our third hour. Sarah is into her third hour.
And I do got to go here. Like the family's all out
do.
there. Yeah.
I'm sure you do. Balti, thank you for the super chat and acknowledging Sarah's efforts. Emos writes, Sarah, help Bobby with his shirt so there'll be a day 3. So this was not worn today. It was just on the way back to my mom's here in Albany.
So she didn't see you in the shirt.
I wore a turtleneck last night.
Of course you did.
So
very, very fancy.
I thought it was fun. We went to a Irish bar in downtown Syracuse. We went to the Syracuse Wake Forest game. So it was
Oh,
fun. A
fun.
lot of Buffalo people up there, guys. A lot of Bills fans
Oh.
hanging around. And I think I would have made some of our audience proud, Sarah, we practically have a full-time job over the last couple of weeks mastering the art of, each of their candidacies. So I was ready to go, when anybody was bringing up Josh's versus Lamar's, and even the bouncer going into this Irish pub last night was a huge Lamar fan. So anyway, it was a fun trip, and I'm sure you got to go here, so we can wrap up if you'd like.
I'm just letting you say what you need to say. I'm not asking any probing questions. I'm just trying to give you the platform, Bobby.
E-Man's like, this is what I need to hear, right? Stop talking. I love being so
I should be more
forthright.
E-Man. I'm like trying to just like not probe, but see if you'll say anything. But I should be more like E-Man. I should help you reach your goals.
What I love about E-Man is like I love to be a forthcoming person, as you guys have all figured out. So I do need somebody like that, and like you in my in my posse here, keeping me in line. BDRSR says Sarah's been carrying for real. She has.
Now listen, I'm not getting in the way of potential love. I'm here all day for that. I told you this offline, and listen, I'm not saying it's deep or whatever, but yesterday. Before yesterday's show on New Year's Eve, when you were heading up to Syracuse, I took my daughters to my workout with me because some of the girls I work out with bring in their kids. Mm-hmm. And as soon as the workout was over, because it gets over at 10:30, and I got to be here at noon ready to go. I was like, come on, girls, we got to go. And I was like, very urgent. And they're like, well, why do we have to go so fast, Mom? And I was like, and because they're out of school, they're not, and I'm always fast getting out of there anyway, even when you're here. And I was like, we have got to roll. I was like, because I got the show in an hour and a half and Bobby's not here. So I got to get this all done. I got to get the content ready, yada, yada, yada. And they were like, well, where's Bobby? Why isn't Bobby going to be in the show? Like my girl's like concerned you were sick or something. And I was like, well, cause I knew I had your permission to show. I was like, he went to go on a double date for New Year's Eve. And they're like, oh yeah, you for sure need to let him go, Mom. You for sure need, like he's looking like he's got to be there on a date. And what if he didn't show up? And then it's that one girl is there with the two other people. She can't. Yeah, Mom, you definitely. Okay, let's go. Let's get you back for the show. Like they were like,
they're so sweet.
Yeah.
They are so sweet and invested,
7 and 12 years old. And they were like, we can't get in the way of potential love here.
Love those two. But hey, you and I will catch up in a bit. Okay. And I assume that you've communicated with Cameron about all of his next steps to claim that giveaway t-shirt winner.
Yeah.
And Chris says, keep the show rolling. It is currently 2:27 Eastern for our live audience, or for our audio only on the back end that are probably wondering why we're still going. If you're listening to this hours, days down the line, Draydog679 says, Bobby, what cologne did you wear? Gosh, you know what? I promised that I would take mine out after you did your review. And so I'm just envisioning the bottle of it. I don't even know. I honestly don't even know the brand. So we'll do that in the coming days, if I remember. Happy to share what Dre's probably going to be like, tearing me to shreds. This is what you need. This is what you have.
Yeah. You can also talk to my son Gardner, because he basically all he asked for Christmas was cologne. And several different like grandparents, me, my husband, like aunts, uncles, like they delivered. And
Love
he's
it.
like, he's got a collection now. So if you ever want to chat about cologne, he'll tell you the top ones.
Good to know.
Yeah.
Good to know. Well, over 6,000 concurrents right now.
I can't believe we just made that out.
6,000 concurrents, and you've been rolling for 2 hours and 5 minutes. So again, big thanks to you as always for getting after it and for covering. I appreciate you for having my back.
Always.
Before I really overshare, because of the excitement coming off last night, I will leave everyone with this. There was a firework at midnight. The kiss did land.
Oh!
It was a smooch for the ages, right in front of her friends, with conviction, with confidence. I'm not looking back. Electricity was had last night.
Oh my God!
Says he doesn't want to.
Because you were like, I do not want to overshare. I was like nervous that I even told people you're going on a date yesterday. Like I was like, and then this morning I opened the show 20 minutes late, looking like an idiot. and I'm just trying to be as PC as possible. Sorry I'm late. You know, like, I have permission to say that Bobby's date went into the second day, and I don't mention it again out of respect for you. And then here you are saying that you kissed her during fireworks in front of her friends with conviction, and there was electricity. Okay. I'm here for the information. But
now, just to be clear, there were no fireworks physically.
No. You mean fireworks in the sky because of New Year's. I got you. But there was conviction.
No. There were no fireworks in the sky.
Oh.
I felt like I thought we brought fireworks to that Irish pub at midnight when the ball dropped, and I just zero hesitation, bang.
Okay.
So.
I misread that. You're saying there were fireworks created from the kiss. There was electricity from the New Year's kiss. There was conviction in front of her friends. Okay.
I thought so.
Okay.
So. And I'm so naturally forthcoming that I just want to like rattle it all off, but we gotta go.
Everybody's saying they want you to do a personal channel, which you can do what you got to do, but you can easily get strung into sharing too much. So you got to be careful.
I can easily get going. And like I'll continue to reiterate, and this is the only motivation behind, holding all this back from you guys who have probably grown accustomed to listening to me unload. It's just out of pure potential, I think, in this that I want to make sure that I handle it with grace. How about that?
That's great. I'm having a hard time reacting the way I want to because I'm trying to be respectful of everything. But I just want to say I'm happy for you, and you look very happy.
Thank you.
Yeah.
More to come.
Okay.
More to come. And with that, I guess I'll close out of a show that I did not even put together. Okay, I'm gonna close out of a show that I had no part in, aside from a couple early things right before Sarah went on. So again, huge thanks to you. A huge thanks to all 6,000 plus concurrents who are tuned in as of right now. We appreciate you so much, and we can't wait to see what 2025 has in store, particularly the next month or so, with this team potentially getting on a pretty significant run in the coming weeks. So on your way out, please like the video if you haven't already done so. Subscribe to the channel for daily Ravens content and hit that notification bell so you can be notified of when we're dropping that said daily live content. And special thanks to Homage as well. Congratulations to Cameron. I'm sure we'll be hearing from you via email if we haven't already done so. And for my co-host and partner, Sarah Ellison, who absolutely lit the torch and ripped it for all 2+ hours of this episode, I'm Bobby Trossett signing off from this Wednesday Ravens Lunch Hour live stream. We'll be back with you in well under 24 hours from right now. And we look forward to that on Thursday. And of course, starting to turn a page to the regular season finale and the Cleveland Browns. It's a 4:30 kickoff on Saturday, and we'll catch up with you tomorrow, if not before. And as always, thanks guys for joining us here inside.